It has finally been revealed that Percival is an official member of the prophesized group, the Four Knights of the Apocalypse, a group that is going to bring chaos into the world, a group that is destined to destroy it. Now, Percival's next quest is to make it to the kingdom of Camelot. But first, to get there, he must travel to Lyonesse. Now, this is very important for two reasons. One, Meliodas, where we left off in the Seven Deadly Sins manga, was the king of Lyonesse, which means that we might get Percival meeting Meliodas, and we'll be getting the official return of the Seven Deadly Sins and the sequel manga, The Four Knights of the Apocalypse. The other important reason is that Meliodas' son, Tristan, looks exactly like who was supposed to be one of the members of the Four Knights of the Apocalypse, and that knight is Plague. It even adds up to the fact that it looks so much like each other, but the other part is the fact that Tristan wanted a sword when he was a kid in the manga. Now he has one in this image. So, it's very important for multiple reasons that Percival is going to be going to Lyonesse, because he'll get to meet Meliodas possibly, and then meet Tristan, who will be a fellow member of the Four Knights of the Apocalypse. So, I'm going to talk about that in the chapter review for Four Knights of the Apocalypse Chapter 6. Let's get into it. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Broku. And thank you guys so much for all the support lately. It's been meaning a lot. I'm glad you guys are loving the Seven Deadly Sins, Four Knights of the Apocalypse chapter reviews. I'm really loving this series so far. It's really building up quickly, and I am loving it. So, if you guys do enjoy, please leave a like. Let's shoot for 1,000 likes on this review. Subscribe, turn on notifications. If you want to join my Discord, that's linked below, and also follow me on Twitter. That is linked down below. But that being said, let's just get right into it. One thing I do want to mention is that the actual cover for this chapter, it might be some foreshadowing for not only the manga, but for Percival as a character, as it shows him on, it looks like to be a battlefield with a bunch of crosses, and battlefields and crosses, that's like the symbolism of death. And Percival is the Knight of Death, as stated last chapter. And he has blood all over him, and he is screaming. So this could be some really crazy foreshadowing for the future of the series, as maybe Percival will be bad, but honestly, I don't know. I'm just realizing how crazy this could be. What if we are building up this prequel manga to turn the Four Knights of the Apocalypse into the actual bad guys? And then they're going to have to fight the Seven Deadly Sins, and maybe even win. And there's going to be some of the children of the Seven Deadly Sins in this group. So, wow, this could be absolutely epic. But I do think at one point we will get the Four Knights versus the Seven Deadly Sins in some capacity, as maybe like a training thing, or maybe actually a full-on fight. That would be absolutely epic. So, we actually finally get to see Camelot. And yeah, it definitely looks like that King Arthur and his chaos power is really trying to rebuild Camelot here, and it looks pretty spooky. It reminds me of the Shadow Palace from Black Clover, and it kind of reminds me from one of those Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I can't remember. I think it was Pegasus cards? Was it? Not. I guess it does remind me a bit of Toon World, but it doesn't. I don't know. Anyways, we get to see Pelgard. He is walking the path towards this castle, and there are these giant, creepy-ass looking creatures that are surrounding it and probably protecting it. And so yeah, looks like Arthur is getting the hang of his chaos powers for doing this. He's probably been working on that with Merlin for the past 16 years. It's been 16 years in this manga since the normal end of the Seven Deadly Sins. And essentially it looks like maybe the Knights of the Round Table here. Necessarily it's not a round table, but they're in a circular room, and there's a floating wizard in the middle talking to them. And they're talking about there's new clues to the quartet's whereabouts, which means they now know where some of the Four Knights are. They're looking for the Four Knights of the Apocalypse. We get to see Pelgard showing back up, and he is talking about, oh, good job everybody, and people are telling him to never change. The wizard is talking about how that the Four Knights are all young lads, and they are more likely to be Holy Knight apprentices, not actually knights yet themselves. Pelgard thinks to himself, apprentice? Not even that. That's because Percival, who he fought and is a Four Knight, he had no training, he was not even close to apprentice knight, he just learned his powers. They talk about the different knights. One is a boy bearing gold-colored magic, one a boy with holiness and evil in his eyes, one a mysterious lad with no fixed appearance, one a child with verdant, wing-like hair. That is when Ironside smashes his fist against the table, as he is pissed because he let his son go without knowing it. Because remember, Percival's Ironside's son, Ironside tried to kill him. The knights talk about how, or the wizard did, how naturally our foes know this prophecy too. They are searching for them. So it looks like there's other groups out there looking for them. And This will be important to talk about later, because I think that Pelgart is actually a part of that other group, and he is not actually evil in this scenario. Now, Ironside's talking about how he had such a huge blunder that he should have double-checked for a pulse, but he didn't think his son would survive. And then Pelgart comes up to how he let him out for pity, and he said, but imagine, Ironside the assassin failing to dispatch one of his targets. So Pelgart is now just talking shit on Ironside. It's pretty funny. He's like, you speak as if the lad is alive. And he's like, yep, he and I had a battle. He must be one of them, just as I surmised. And I like this dialogue exchange between the two. Ironside says, and you finished him off, did you not? And Pelgart said, don't be so foolish. It'd be such a waste. He has guts and room to grow. And Ironside said, so you recognize the potential, and yet you still didn't kill him? He said, nope, it'd be far better to raise him and bring him under our wing. So this is why I think that Pelgart might be secretly a part of that other group that the Holy Knights of Camelot are kind of going against to try and find the Four Knights of the Apocalypse. And I'll kind of tell you about that later when we get more information. Now, Ironside would be so pissed he would actually strike at Pelgart, but Pelgart would block this without difficulty. Remember, Pelgart's strong. He was only using half his power against Percival and was kind of bodying him. Well, not bodying him, but was stronger. And he says, you truly feel this Percival is a threat to King Arthur. And then Ironside's just pissed. I beseech you to fulfill your duties as a royal knight. But Pelgart just slaps back the sword and is like, and your duties as his father don't matter? You fail to see the problem. He's a threat to more than our liege. And we get a close-up on Ironside's face. That child was going to destroy the world. Yikes. And then we get Percival, who parallels this scene. I'm gonna destroy the world? Pointing at himself. So, yeah, that's just a prophecy. I don't buy it, honestly. I think that Percival's still gonna be a good guy and this prophecy's wrong. I think the prophecy's gonna be partially right. And it's just gonna be that the Four Knights can get together. That's the prophecy, but then they will stop the world from being destroyed, or something like that. But this fox is telling the same exact prophecy to Percival, and Percival's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And then the fox is like, yeah, you will. The prophecy is 100% true. Percival's like, nope, I'm not a holy knight, and I'm gonna go beat my dad up and travel across the world and see the sights my grandpa told me about. He's like, I'm never gonna be some world-destroying knight. The fox, he said he was ordered to bring him back to Camelot. This is where I'm kind of thinking that they're kind of maybe building up this fox to be the good guy, because this fox is the one who actually had Percival zipped away from Pelgart. Now, why would he zip him away from Pelgart then still take him back to Camelot? I think that's because this is actually working for King Arthur. And I think that Pelgart is probably working in line with that other group, the foes of Camelot, to bring in the Four Knights of the Apocalypse and raise them up to be their warriors and probably good guys. So I think the fox is portrayed to be good because he saved, technically, Percival, but he's only doing that because he knows that Pelgart has ulterior motives, and they're trying to bring Percival back to Camelot and King Arthur so they can kill him and avoid the prophecy. They kind of bring up some old stuff about Camelot and say, it was destroyed and blah, 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 but it's really not destroyed, as it's King Arthur and his chaos powers that have essentially rebuilt it. And this fox says, Camelot still exists, I promise you that, but you can't get there via normal means. To reach it, you need to travel to the kingdom of Lioness first. Percival's like, you know what? Okay, let's do it. I want to see a kingdom. That's way bigger than a village or a town. Let's do it. We get it revealed that this fox's name is not Mr. Fox. It's Sin. And they head off for Lioness. Now, again, I think this fox might not necessarily be good. Or maybe there is multiple groups here. It's Camelot, maybe Pelgart's in a different group, and then this fox is in a different group. But it's weird. Why would he take him away from Pelgart and then bring him back to Camelot, which is where all these knights are trying to track him down? That's just really weird to me. So that's why I think that Pelgart might be the good guy. Remember, Pelgart's the one who was fighting him, but was being pretty chill about it. Like, he wanted to help train him. He wanted to heal him right away after the battle. He wants to raise him up as a warrior. Whereas the fox is like, you're going to destroy the world, dude. Let's take you back to Camelot. Like, the fox, I think, only saved Percival because he was afraid of Pelgart taking Percival and raising up to be a knight and making him even stronger. Because remember, that's basically what Percival implied. He was going to help make him stronger. And then he says this to Ironside. So I think that Pelgart is going to be a good guy. And there actually is myths of the Arthurian legends and folklore and stuff like that. And Pelgart's not necessarily a bad guy, whereas Ironside is. So I think that that's what it's going to be. And I actually have working on a theory using Arthurian legends and comparing that with the Seven Deadly Sins manga to make my own theory. Because I think I have an idea of where they're going with this. And I think that it's going to be pretty interesting to say the least, and I think we actually might get an evil King Arthur storyline, and that would be pretty epic. And so, yeah, I'm really in the sense that I think Pelgard is actually the good guy here, not the fox, whose name is Sin. But then again, what if the fox is actually working for the 7 deadly sins, and that's why his name is Sin? I don't know. It's interesting. But they're going to Lioness, so we'll probably get to see Meliodas, Tristan, Elizabeth, maybe some other folks. Maybe we'll get to see Lancelot. And I am just really excited for this, because I did not think we'd be going to Lioness and maybe seeing the 7 deadly sins this early. I thought it would be a bit ways away. But then again, this might be just in the arc, where the whole arc is getting to Lioness. They did say that it's 200 miles away. So either the mangaka is going to make it so that they just traverse pretty much the entire 200 miles as like just a little skip of time, and then the next chapter picks up where they're already in Lioness, or it'll drag it out into a several chapter arc where they meet people along the way to Lioness, they have some people to fight, some strife and stuff like that, and then they finally get to Lioness maybe 10, 15 chapters later. I'm fine with either way, but I did not expect to possibly beat Meliodas and maybe even other 7 deadly sins this quickly. I did just not expect it. I thought that was going to be 10s or 40, 50 chapters in. We're on chapter 6, and we might very well meet Meliodas next chapter in chapter 7. So, very important stuff, but overall, that's my working theory. I think that this fox is working for King Arthur, and that he's just trying to bring Percival back, whereas Pelgard has shown in every other way that he wanted to train Percival. He even said he was going to heal him. He was giving compliments to Percival and his power, whereas this fox saved him in a way, only really just to take him away from Pelgard. And, well, what is the fox trying to do now? Take him back to Camelot, where all these holy knights just want to kill him and remove him from the prophecy. That's why I think this is just a kind of subversion, where it's almost trying to make us think that the fox is good, when in reality it's not. So, yeah, that's my thoughts. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know how you thought of this chapter and this chapter review. Hope you guys all have an amazing day. Plus...